go. The movement right now we're doing is twice. It's called R, right? And all we're doing is basically, we're doing the same movement twice. So I step, first my spear hand leads out, which we'll go into first. My spear hand leads out, I grab. As I grab, this step is going to fling me into the next attack. And then I do that same movement, I repeat, pull back into a kai, and attack, right? So what that means is a target. Remember that the spear hand is also an elbow, but this is a defensive spear hand. So we're gonna first, let's look at this hand. When this fist is coming in, I'm reaching out to stop it. Now I have, before he can get that back, so retract that part. I'm grabbing onto that. That's pulling me in. If I try to catch his fist, punch, pull back. Punch, punch. I can possibly get it. I can slow him down and delay it, right? But I'm not really gonna be able to hold on to that. So I wanna make sure that I get back here, that when he pulls it back, I'm still gonna my strike. The next strike can be a strike to the heart, but I prefer to see it as, go ahead, punch. 1, 2. Now I'm stepping behind him, and I just have to pull his weight over. Right? That's why it's important to make sure when you're doing the movements, it's hip, hip, hooray. Right? I like that. Good. Pulling that back nice and tight. Now if the other hand comes in, this is where the elbow comes in. If he punches at me with this hand, this is still here, and I can still strike in here. So always remember that your hand, go ahead, go. You just want to go to the hard side, or the weak side of his body. So when that hand comes in, go ahead. I can still strike, and I can still counter with the next move. If the other hand comes in, this hand, right? This is a straight shot, as straight as it gets when it's coming at the jaw, right? But I can intercept that punch by just moving in just a little bit. You may take a little bit, sure, go ahead and punch again. You may take a little bit in, but now that I have him open, I can step right into that takedown on this side in a really cool. One, right? I'm still coming in. I step into the position I want to be in. I get control of this arm. I basically drag him across the body. Okay. Be careful with your partners, always, please. Yeah. So this heart attack, what I like to call it, is literally a heart attack. When he punches, one, I don't have to do that step. I can get that other strike in before he gets back. All right. Again, one. All right, I'm already on the inside, go ahead. And I can combinate, however, with that. And now pull that hand back. Good, right? It opens up different options in the body, right? But all coming from the hip, let it fire. And that's kind of the big thing about R, right? The other thing we can do with this movement is variations. So instead of always being a headhunter, like you can be a headhunter with this move as well. So if he punches in with that jab punch, bang, I can bring this into a higher position over here, but it can kind of get trapped by the shoulder, which is why the movement is designed to go low. So even better than that, punch, I can put this pressure on the elbow. Switch sides so you can see. Right. He punches in. I'm helping him overextend that. This is pulling with my hip. At the same time, this is delivering right in the back of that joint. And practice this slowly and carefully as he punches in. They're almost at the same time. Right? And if he pulls it back, right, I'm still moving with him. Go ahead. Right? But the hip charge of that twice, it actually means like a figure eight. It's almost infinite. So in my body, he punches, and now I'm throwing this figure eight where I can keep combinating, and I can step around to do other motions as well. So when somebody's coming at me with those movements, the counter is I'm stepping back, elbow, fist, strike, right? That's how the movement works. So again, he comes in at me, elbow, fist, strike, he counters that, I move out of the way, right? Switching legs, again, I strike, elbow, fist, strike, I counter. I can come back with a kai too if I wanted to. So if my hands are up here, he throws it straight, I can get out of the way of that, go do it again. And I'm still in a position to come back in and launch an attack. So he steps in, I'm opening him up. Steps in, I'm opening him up. You see I can still have him held here. I don't have to let him go, right? So watch it slowly, step. I'm coming back, right? All you have to do is make sure you're always watching out for that hot side. That's the hot side. So if that comes in, change it and you grab on this side. That's why it's called twice, right? I step in, oops, can't get it off, bang, I can come in this side, right? So that's the first part of that elbow. And a good way to practice this is let somebody just kind of punch so you can get, here's the angle, this way, right, like this here. So he punches here, I get that out. You want to use your elbows almost like you're cleaning yourself, but they're always on the inside, right? My elbows are on the inside, so he punches to one, right? From there, go ahead, go one. You see how the other hand stops down, just straight, so do this with one, two, go ahead like that. One hand's opening this way, pull it back. So go ahead, there you go. Good. Good. And you see how the hands, they can kind of go from elbow or to a little paw, but it's still basically the elbow that's using that control. Getting that step gets you out of the fire, so he's moving in. I gotta get back. And I can come back in. It's that little pause gives me enough room to bring some energy back in. So kind of let him go, right? And I move good, right? Get that little step, and you can move into it. It's nice and short and tight. When he comes on this side, right? I can block it with my elbow, same as on the other side. Or when he punches, punch. This can kind of open him up a little bit and give me a little bit of room, which is that next strike that comes in. So he moves, right? I'm basically kind of pawing him. After I get that paw in, use your back leg to fire that through. Don't just punch. But when he delivers, boom, boom, boom. Let that come in. That other hand comes in. Let it come in. I can set back high and still come up with that next punch. So it's all about moving with your feet first. The footwork. Now what happens is I step to the side, I raise up, pull down, and then I repeat the movement as my hands come inside and step, right? So from here, 1, 2, 3. You almost want to vomit on him. You don't want to think about using some kind of hand attack. My whole body goes in and back out again. So up, 2, 3, right? Real simple movement. 1, 2, 3, okay? The ideal concept is, without gloves, depending on what kind of day and age you're in, is when he does a movement, go ahead, step, punch. I'm moving to this side and I'm taking that impact. Do you see? Like that impact is hitting me, but my foot positioning, so let's say, so even if my hands are just up, go ahead, punch. My foot positioning is putting me out of the majority. You know, I'm taking off about 80% of that force, right? And that way you want to time that. So he moves in, you're moving in. Get used to that rhythm. He's moving in, you're moving in. He's moving in, you're moving in. You see, I already have the arm control here, right? But from there, I'm pulling down. That downward gives me my advantage. So I can go from there to the legs, to the elbow, to wherever I want to go. But it's all about the weight of the body. And it can be as simple as a push. Go ahead, go punch. Now that I'm in range, I can use that force and just get him out of my way. So depending on the deadliness you want of your attack, I move, I'm over here, I'm down, right? Now I can also step back for a punch. Now that I'm already on this side, and drag him back, digging into, I gotta be careful with that shoulder, right? Digging into the shoulder, step back with that, and pull him in my direction, and then you can finish him from there, however you want. But the idea is, when he punches, go 1, I'm over here, go ahead, punch again. I'm over here, punch. Just a simple drill, keeping your hands up, learning how to step, leg first, every time. Leg moves, my leg moves, and I'm in position where it's gonna be better for me, and he has to waste more time to get to me. Okay, so looking at the counter for Tiger, basically when he comes in you with all of that force, it doesn't matter if somebody's trying to charge you or launch at you, all I'm doing is creating a circle within myself to get out of the way, right? So when I punch at him, I'm gonna get myself offline. This hand, spear hands up, immediately goes out into a pull, right? 1, 2. So I'm basically yanking him towards the ground, but I don't want to yank him past because this is not like a twin move. This is not like a dropping palm. All I'm doing is pulling him to a middle. He's going to cross his body over, so his next punch won't even be able to come in. I'm going to do it on this side. His shoulders kind of bother him, right? So when he punches here, so let's say you jab here. So you jab first, 1, good, okay, fine. 2, the next hand comes in. I'm just going to slip past that. Remember, the best place to get is going to be this elbow, behind the elbow, so that if he retracts it, you're still with him. He's pulling you with him, right? But slowing it down. Go ahead, 1, 2. I'm getting over here. Now I can do whatever I want. That's 1, 2. Because it's a tiger, him trying to get that hand back won't work, and I can double up on that movement still. One more time. To overextend it, right? So, but drill's really easy. I would say just take turns alternating on both sides using that body mechanic to pull him one way, the other way. Footwork is the same as tiger, right? He comes in one side, come, give him a little weight. Over here, 2, come, go do it again. Let him keep punching. And you may miss sometimes when you try to pull back, but as he comes in, you come in too, all right? All right. Working with these time fillers, or you know, if you're in military, like I have a lot of friends who are law enforcement, right? And this is the baton. All the movements basically are the same. I could actually walk through this twice, right? Going through 1, 2 if I wanted to, right? And then 3, the same way as the form goes. 1, 2, 3, pull back, 4. But I kind of lose a lot of the advantage of this weapon. Remember, when you're using any weapon, you want to be able to kind of tailor it to the natural needs of how the weapon is supposed to move. So practice that movement, right? When I'm doing this 1, I can parry this way 1, fine, right? Or I can open them up from there 1 and then follow in with 2, right? That's the other way you can do it, just to make sure you're keeping the fluidity. These go in, following the hips, or go out following the hips. So I can open them up with 1, then 2 from there, opening up and then striking. I can double up just like the form is, right? When I first start off with my spear hands, follow up, follow up, follow up, right? Which just gives you the kind of fluency that you need with the movement. So you move, I can move back first if I want. I want to move that back. 2, get myself into a range now that I can climb up into his weapon. So again. Or I can just parry that first one. Go ahead, go. 1, parry that first one. 2, I'm inside from here. And then 3, I can strike in there. And I think that's the best option. You want to make sure you're doing something that's feasible. This is not TV, right? So when he strikes, right, your arms are covered, forearms are covered already. I can step in, bang, brush on the elbow, and then from there, strike into the heart, just like the form, right? And just kind of practice that drill because it's really more about footwork than the weapons. He strikes in, I move out of the way, bang, bang, okay? And again, go. 1, bang, bang. Just kind of get into that. Go ahead, 1, bang, bang. Real easy, straightforward. I can do the same thing to the other side. So if he strikes, go ahead, strike. Now what I'm doing is a bye-boo to get around to the other side. And this is an important step to kind of look at. Let me see. So when we do bye-boo from the back leg, it's still trajecting my energy towards my target. That's the advantage of using that movement. Instead of just trying to step out of the way real quick, bye-boo will twist you out of that way real quick, and I can parry 1 as I step and striking with the other movement. Where I am and where I will be is completely different. And for this, I would go straight for the heart. So he attacks in, 1, parry, 2. That foot puts me right in position. Go 1, 2. Now basically 3, that's good. If he blocks that 2, be prepared for that because nobody's a robot, right? So go ahead, go 1, bye-boo, 2, he's parried it. Now I have a kobu from over here, which puts me right into 3, right? Digs right into there, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. 3, right into there, right? Remember your elbows, one of the beauties of this weapon is your elbows are the attack. So just kind of another way to practice a variation. He steps in, go 1, I move out of the way. This is 1 way. 2, go ahead, stack. I'm moving the other way, right? Choose where you want to go. And just remember your Ko and Baibu are your best friends. So I got Ko over here. Even if he blocks that one too, if you can, block that one, block it.
I don't know how.
It's a hard move to block, right?
Spear.
We'll give him another chance at it. Here, let's take a look. So from here, right, I'm stepping away. 1, coming in. 2, I got my Ko already in position. 3, 4, 5. With Ko and Baibu, no matter what, you're always going to find a way inside. So same movement with the counter, except for now, instead of using my elbows, I have these beautiful wooden things to protect my body, right? So when he comes in with 1, I step back. 1, the elbow. 2, strike back 3, right? Real simple. Clean it out of the way and counter. So when he comes in, remember he has a longer weapon. I wouldn't prefer this movement particularly with this and a longer weapon, but if you have the right footwork and you know how to change and adjust it, you can get in range. So what we're doing here, when he attacks, go ahead, 1, right? I clean this out of the way first, making sure that all of my body is out of the way. Now from right there, if I just use the right footwork, all I have to do is a through step, which is 1, 2 step, okay? So that's a good move to practice it first, nice and realistic. I get out of the way, 2, 3, right? From there, go. 1, stick to him on the way in. So if he tries to adjust it, go ahead, go 1. If he tries to adjust that, I'm still in. All right? So just make sure you're using your sensitivity as your body moves. So when my body's moving, my waist is always responding, right? Go ahead, 1 and 2. Good, that's fine. Good, 1. And you may take a little bit, but he's definitely gonna get the best spot. Okay, raise the arm up a little bit. The spot in the armpit here, all you're doing, make sure you're not just touching it, you're driving through that space. It's a very uncomfortable position, right? Sorry. So if he jabs at me twice, go ahead, go 1, 2, now moving twice to climb back in like before, right? And you want to get him into that game where it's almost like the 3 principles, right? You want to get him to that game where it's like the 3 principles where you're making them guess high, medium, and low. But the only thing is, when he's doing that, you got to make sure you're using your hips. So go ahead, go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? High, medium, low. Make him focus on this. If he blocks it, you can still get over here, okay? So keep him focused on one thing so you can use the other thing. So same thing, like we're just like, to be realistic, more than likely the other person you're dealing with is not gonna have, he'll be barehanded. And more than realistically, it's also, if you're a police officer or something like that, you're gonna be using one of these. So let's throw the other one to the side, right? And now I'm using 1, and how does that change up? Same grip over here on this side, generally speaking, but for open-handed, this is actually pretty easy. So he moves, right, so he's moving in at me, he opens up. This is really easy. When I'm going for this jab, I'm holding on to him still. So he can try to go back and resist, and I can sweep and knock him out, pull back here, right here. The other thing I can do, I'll take it slow here, the 1, boom, as I come in, that jab, what I want to do is get this hook here. So now I already have him hooked and bent. I have his elbow bent here, I have his hand bent here, right? And I just pull back on that. There's nothing you can do. Let's do it real slow. Slow and safe, baby, right? So I step in, moving in. I can move into the shoulder first to get kind of shoulder control, right? And then pull this back on the inside of that leg and upward, right? And we know what that does. All right, so here we go. So I can move 1, bang, 2, from here, get it across the other side of his body, pull him across my body. Just keep a nice low base. So this pulls, then I'm still stable, all right? But basically what I'm doing, I'm using twice, the 1, to get into a position. And if that, like I said, even if he pulls his hand back, it doesn't matter so much because I'm coming in with him. I'm gonna help him to whatever movement he's gonna do. I just wanna make sure that I'm creating this clamp with my hand and his weapon so I can dip him back, pull him in, or do whatever I need to do. But I'm pulling this out of the way this way now here so I can open him up. Don't ever believe that the actual weapon is the only thing you have. That's the most important part, is crucial. So if he attacks, I can use this first, then hook, and come back and make sure I have control over him. One from here, now I just straight open him up 2. I can go into dismount, or depending on what you can do with your attacks. If you're looking for head control, good one. You want to come up for this chin here in the bottom, and as you're pushing up on that chin, see I'm stepping on his foot at the same time, and then I'm pushing him back nice and easy. So with Tiger, remember the important part of the Tiger is really the claws, that gripping part of the body, right? And whether I'm using one hand or I'm using two, the Tiger, that footwork that gets me out of the way, I want to make sure that after I've blocked that attack and I drop my weight, that I have control, all right? Let's use one hand again. This works fine as a punch or however you want to use it, but the footwork is everything from here. So I could use this first to make sure I'm in a nice, safe position. So when he comes in at me, go ahead, movement. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I can still make sure I reflect that. And then when I come down, I just slip it so I have the grip on both hands, right? I have it on the grip on his hands and on the joint, right? Now I can fold it in however I want to and control him. And the thing is, once you get on the inside from here, all it is a matter of turning and twisting this up, this down, so you can get a pressure on, right? Good, right? So from here, go one, up, then down. That's all you're practicing, a real simple thing. Remember all the body work. And now if his hand doesn't come up, let's say I'm moving in at him, I'm expecting him to do something, but that hand doesn't come up, I can just move from here and push up this way and then back down, right? So, but the whole point is this up, down motion, however you get down, right? That down motion, because in the fray, you're basically gonna listen to where your weapon is at. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here, right? And it might, if he's not doing anything, just go in, right? But the important part is, one, you're keeping yourself covered. Now that I'm covered, when I go down, I can do whatever I want on the way down. I can step on the other side, go one. Now I'm over here on this side here, right? I can come straight down however I want on this side of the body. But the important part is I'm not coming down with my hand. My whole body is coming down to a position where I am stable. So I think we have enough, like one, we're using this movement here. I think we have enough kind of like typical striking. Remember, striking is really just gonna be about keeping your hands up wherever you are, right? And then using your footwork to position you so that you can do something and respond and counter. But another thing that's really a kind of a big problem is when you're dealing with somebody who's grappling you, right? And when somebody is grappling you, there's one, understand how the body works. So with the footwork we use with the counter of Tiger, right? I'm going back with the counter of Tiger. I can use this up and I can use this down. Now you'll see there's two parts of my hand. One's going up, one's going down. Right, coming from the front so you can see it. There's a top part and the bottom part. I can adjust this to my liking depending on the situation. It's almost like driving a car. And when you're dealing with somebody who's tackling at you, right, who's moving at you, you're actually doing it the same way as a car. So if he scoops down to grab my legs, right? If he's scooping down to grab my legs, what are the two dangers I have here? One, you don't want them to complete a circle around you. Once a circle, no matter what style it is completed, you're in a bad position, right? So step back here, right? So what you want to do is basically stop that circle as it's happening in that counter that we're doing here in one movement, right? Here in another movement. When he's moving in at me, go ahead, go. This leg steps back. Now this hand is on the top and I've opened that circle. What I'm gonna do right after that is tighten that and turn his head into his armpit. So when his head goes into his armpit, I just keep pushing this hand over and he's going over. I mean, we don't even really need a weapon for this, but right. But let's show him that again in slow motion. So basically, leg goes back, hand is up, right? And remember, you gotta make micro step movements sometimes, moving back to control a person to make sure you're in a position where you're safe, right? It happens fast, so what's gonna happen really when he moves in is he's gonna flip himself over, right, and land on his spine. Let's go over here again to make sure you can see my feet, right? So I get out of the way, one, elbows are in. When he moves in, I step here, hand under the armpit, and just keep pulling until he tosses himself over. If he doesn't toss himself over, all I have to do is step back. And when I step back, I can launch him the other way, right? So when he shoots in, I'm doing the same thing, except now that I have this lock here, it gives me a lot more power and control on that circle. So you see how for a second, if he gets a piece of me, that's fine, as long as I use, here, go ahead, reach in, if he gets a piece of me, that's fine as long as I stop him from making that circle. He has that, I just keep myself grounded and use a power step to make sure that I hold him back, right? And like I said, I can just turn over and he goes that way. I have the arm, I have the wrist, I have control, right? But basically all we're doing is keeping that circle. He moves one way, I go right. I can even go on the inside first, you see that there? So he steps, as he movements, boom. Now my hand is doing the top part of that movement, right? Where my, here, so the counter of Tiger, when he moves in right from here, this hand is really doing a yank, as this one is driving up this way or sinking down that way, right? But either way, you have him in this lock now, in position and in control. For the next part, if you're using a long weapon, staff or spear or anything, right, I think the important thing that you can get really using twice, instead of showing you applications of it, is how to develop power. Because really, the key to developing power is both inside of twice and inside of Tiger. So when I'm doing a movement from here, yes, I can think about it as I'm countering him first. As my hip opens up, counter, 1, and now you see how much I'm wound up. And from there, I just basically let my hip release 2 into a single point, right? So you're using that 1, 2, that same thing. 1, block, 2, counter, right? And just practicing that is a good exercise. Helps you find your position. You can see if the 1, 2 snaps down to the right point, they're using the right amount of power into it. That shake is a good thing. But this part here is the part that people tend to miss, right? Where your body smoothly move into it. If I'm doing the counter of that, I'm stepping back, right? I'm blocking on one side here, 1, right, 2. Now I can go straight down, 3, onto the target, right? So from 1, the weapon now represents my hands. When I'm doing that elbow out, 1, 2, 3. These are all excellent drills. Let me show you from this side, right? Stepping back, 1, 2, 3. Small adjustments with my hands. 1, 2, I go from here to this grip, and let it all sink. 3, making sure I'm using my body to drop down. For Tiger, this becomes much more of an emergency movement where you're using this two-handed, kind of holding this in front of you. This is an emergency because you're stopping most stuff from getting out, anything that comes on that line of access, right? But you can use that, here, actually I do want either for this one. So whether this is a longer weapon, even if it was a shorter weapon, right? I can get out of the way for something's approaching me. So let's say you're kind of throwing some kind of punch or something, what it is. All right, I'm moving out of the way at this point here, right? And I'm opening them up. That's plenty of room to do anything that you need to do to get inside, and then just turn accordingly, right? Real simple movement, go ahead, 1. Emergency, something's coming at me from here, deliver that wind, right? Turn accordingly, right, good. After that, there's also a time where you're in a close range, come here, right? Where I can use Tiger, or maybe first I have to do something else. So you attack, go attack. I want to get this out of the way first, right? Maybe the other way. But what I really want to do is get behind you from here. That is going to pull down, but I have to sink with my body on it. So whatever he's doing, he moves in. I'm getting out of the way, gently. All I need is a little bit of that just to make him dip, because once he dips, all I have to do is step, right? And finish the job. Okay, that's the video for this week. We'll see you next time.